If you don't claim your dividend within a few years, the money disappears forever. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Financially Focused with Cardinal Stone, where we break down important topics in Nigeria's financial markets and help you make smarter financial decisions. I'm your host, Oscar Romero, and today we're discussing something many shareholders have experienced at one point or another: missing shares, unclaimed dividends, and other common shareholder issues. If you've ever wondered, what happened to my shares that I bought many years ago? Why can't I claim? What happened to my dividends? They are missing. How do I even start fixing these issues? Then this episode is definitely for you. To help us unpack this, I'm joined by my colleague from Cardinal Stone Registrars, Toby Dada, who works closely with shareholder records and investor services. Toby, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the big question. When people hear about unclaimed dividends or missing shares, it sounds alarming. But really, how common are these issues in Nigeria?
The issue of unclaimed dividends is a very common one, but it's not a scary situation, right? Say a shareholder purchases the shares in a different version of its name. Like, for instance, now my name is Oluwatobiloba, right? And I buy my shares as Toby. And the name of my bank is Oluwatobiloba, right? These small differences, like the difference in the name, can lead to the error in dividend payment, right? So once this issue has been rectified by the registrars, you can always claim your dividend accordingly. But after a certain period of time, the dividend is transferred to the Unclaimed Dividend Trust Fund, which can be claimed at the Debt Management Office of the federal government.
Okay, so in many of these cases, it's not that the shares or dividends are actually lost. It's a case of the records don't match, or the information, the shareholders' information has changed.
Yes. So when this issue can be resolved when the name has been aligned and corrected at the registrars, so you'll be able to claim your dividend accordingly.
Okay, so let's talk specifically about unclaimed dividends, because this is something many Nigerian investors hear about regularly. Why do dividends end up unclaimed in the first place?
I could list a few reasons why dividend ends up unclaimed. So firstly, I'll start with the change in contact information. When investors move without informing the registrars or their stockbrokers about their sudden move or change, it becomes difficult for registrars to reach out to the clients for information, for facet of information. Another reason could be due to lack of an awareness. Some investors are not aware of the process of claiming their dividend, or they might have also lost track of their purchased shares, so it becomes difficult to also reach out to the client when the amount of dividend is declared, but it's in small amounts. So some shareholders feel like this amount does not justify the stress of claiming this value. And lastly, outdated bank details. Say you previously provided the registrars with a dormant account, and now you have a different account but you didn't come to the registrars to change this information. So a dividend will probably not go through whenever we are processing dividends.
Interesting. It's funny how I've actually had a situation where the dividends that I thought I was qualified for, it was so small, and I still think that I can't find my dividends. But like you said, sometimes it's just because the amount is very small. Anyway, for someone listening right now that think they might have unclaimed dividends, what should they do?
So if you are aware of the stock you have and also aware of the registrars, you can always contact the registrars to verify your dividend information. However, if you are not aware, the Securities and Exchange Commission has made this process seamless, right, by creating the unclaimed dividend list on their website. So when you visit their website, you identify your name and also the registrar's information. And once that has been done, you can always reach out to the registrars to prove ownership of your shares and thereabouts.
So if you are listening right now, you are now an expert in unclaimed dividends. So if any of your family member comes to meet you, they can't find their dividends. With the information you have now, you can even give them advice on what to do about it.
Yes, provided that you can verify that the shares belongs to you. Thank you.
Very, very important. Don't allow someone to come and tell you that they have unclaimed dividends when the shares are not theirs. All right, let's move to another major issue we hear about, which is missing shares, especially from people who bought shares from many years ago during Nigeria's big public offer era. Everyone was buying shares. Everyone was an investor. Mm-hmm. But why does this happen? Missing shares.
So missing shares happens due to, because before the market went digital, right, the only evidence of purchase was through physical papers, which we call share certificates, right? But now that the market is in a digital era, right, they have introduced the process of dematerialization. This is converting these physical papers into an electronic transfer, that's into your CSS account. You can always reach out to the registrars with these papers and we would assist with the dematerialization process. Another reason for missing shares is when companies merge or are acquired. Say for instance now, you bought your shares as First Inland Bank, which has been merged to Finbank and FCMB, right? And you're not aware of the merger and acquisition, so you tend to lose track of your information. However, if you want to claim your value, you can always contact your brokers, who can always advise you about the mergers and acquisition, and always come to the registrars to claim your dividend. Another reason is the use of fictitious name, right? Okay, so you buy your shares, Oscar Romero, right? And you use Oscar for that one. I mean, there are several Oscars in this world, so you have to come with evidence and backend. We have some KYC questions that we can always ask you to verify that these shares actually belongs to you.
I'm the real Oscar Romero.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this sounds like good news. So it means in most of these cases, these shares can still be traced.
Yes, provided that you can answer our KYC questions and verify your ownership of your shares.
That means I have to go and ensure that I have all the correct information when I want to come and look for my missing shares.
Of course.
Okay, thank you, Toby. So let's shift to prevention. We've talked about the problem, the causes of the problem, but what are the simple things that every shareholder should do to avoid these kinds of problems?
So the most important step to prevent this issue from occurring is to always ensure that your mandate is updated at the registrars. I mean, you cannot receive your dividend without the presence of your mandate or your bank details, right? So secondly, you always ensure that if you purchase shares through multiple applications, you can contact the registrars for consolidation of your shares so that it can be in one single portfolio, right? And another one is to always ensure that you update your KYC at the registrars. Say you do a change of name or you change your address or phone number and all that, you can always come to the registrars to update that information.
Wonderful. So once my landlord chases me out of my house because I can't pay the rent and I change the address, I should ensure that I go back.
Yes,
do
inform
my
your
KYC.
registrars and your stockbrokers. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Toby. So we want to move to another topic that many people don't fully understand, which is the role of registrars in the capital markets. People hear registrars, dividends. What role do they play in helping shareholders resolve these issues like this?
Okay, our role as registrars is to always ensure that we do due diligence in the identification of shareholders, just to identify to eradicate identity theft, right? We use this with the BVN and NIN, right? Another thing we do, right, is to we process share transfers. We do transmission in the event of actual death, right? And we always ensure that trades done on the Nigerian exchange reflect on our record accordingly. We are also the operational engine behind corporate actions and annual general meeting announcements. We execute dividend payments, bonus or share or rights issue offers, and we also allot shares whenever there's a public offering and whenever the processes have been completed.
This has been very insightful, Toby. It's reassuring to know that many of these issues, whether it's missing shares, whether it's unclaimed dividends, can actually be resolved with the right guidance.
Proper documentation, yes.
Yes, of course. So before we wrap up, what final advice would you give to shareholders, the investors that are listening right now?
So my advice to shareholders, investors, and also future investors is to always ensure you keep track of your share purchases, right? And always ensure that there's an existing mandate on the record just in case of dividend declaration. And you can always sign up to our shareholders portal, which is available on our website or on the screen, right? And this is just to help you keep track of your shareholdings and dividend information. And lastly, if you're unsure of your mandate or any other information, always reach out to the registrars. We'll be happy to take your inquiry.
Okay. What I just said is reach out to the registrars. When I have any issues, I'll reach out to the registrars. I'll come back and listen to this podcast.
Yes, that's our job.
Wonderful. So before we go, let's play a quick game. I'll be making a couple of statements in relation to what we just discussed. And I want you to help us confirm if they are myths or facts, because with missing shares and unclaimed dividends, there are a lot of things going around that people don't know whether they are myths or facts.
Sure.
So let's start. If you don't claim your dividend within a few years, the money disappears forever. Myths or facts?
Myth. So you can always visit the registrars to claim your dividend. However, over a long period of time, if you do not claim this dividend, it can also be transferred to the Unclaimed Dividend Trust Fund, which can be claimed at the Debt Management Office of the federal government.
It means I'm going to go and tell my parents that their money has not disappeared forever.
Yes, they can just always come to the registrar.
Wonderful. So next one, if your name is slightly different on your bank account and share records, it can affect your dividend payment. Myths or facts?
Facts, right? So if you have a different name, or maybe before you got married and you have changed your name, and we have your bank details with your new name, your dividend will fail. So you can always visit the registrars to correct this information.
Interesting. You can claim the unclaimed dividends of a deceased relative. Myth or facts?
Facts. This process is called the transmission. It's converting an individual account into an estate account. So provided you have a letter of administration or a appropriate letter from the courts, you can always come to the registrars to claim to do the transmission of shares.
That's very, very insightful. If you've lost your share certificate, your shares are gone for good. Myth or fact?
Myth. So you can, if you have and you're sure of the information that you used during the purchase of your shares, you can always just come to the registrars with an identification so that we can ask our proper KYC questions and, do verification.
Okay, because I'm very sure of my own, but I just can't find my share certificate. So, but we'll see about that.
As long as you have your information on the...
I'll find the information. Okay, the next one. Once shares are classified as missing, there is nothing you can do to recover them. Myths or facts?
Myth. As long as you are a shareholder and you purchase shares in previous years, your shares can always be located on our register.
Unclaimed dividends do not earn any interest while sitting in the trust fund.
Fact. So the longer you wait to claim your dividend, the more you lose in real terms because they don't accumulate interest.
Wonderful. So for those of you, on another episode, we'll talk about time value of money. So money can earn interest, but your unclaimed dividends is just sitting, and inflation is eating up the value of your money. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to our listeners, if you are listening, I hope you found this episode very helpful. Make sure you share it with your friends, with your family, with other investors, shareholders and future investors and shareholders like yourself. Until next time, stay financially focused.